Have you ever lain down after a long day? And even though everything around you was quiet inside, you still felt so heavy. You've tried so hard, yet somehow you still feel empty. You've poured love into others, yet you feel more and more drained. You've given so much only to be left exhausted. And sometimes, when you look at yourself with all your cracks and unfinished parts, you quietly whisper, "Am I ever enough?" If you've ever felt this way, you are not alone. It's not weakness. It's the deeply human, deeply real part of being alive. And in those tender moments, Buddhist teachings offer gentle stories, simple, but carrying profound awakenings. The story of a jar, every time it gives, it loses a piece. The story of a cracked pot, seemingly useless, yet watering flowers all along the path. The story of a crooked pine tree in the temple courtyard, never standing straight, but still beautiful in its own way. And the story of an old man who once said just one line that made everyone pause. Blessing or curse, who can really tell? These are not loud philosophies or heavy theories. They are whispers that bring you back to yourself, softly, quietly, like a deep breath. Welcome to Buddhism Seeds, a place where we slow down together, listen together, and gently let go together. If these reflections touch your heart, we invite you to subscribe, share this video, or leave a comment so that this path of awakening can reach further into our busy world. And now, I invite you to join us in these small stories meant to heal, to release, and to help you rediscover the stillness that has always been within you. Part 1. You don't have to be a river. Just don't run dry. My friend, have you ever felt drained from loving? You cared, you listened, you helped. But one day, you suddenly realized you were empty. No more inspiration, no more energy, nothing left to give. And then you asked yourself, isn't love supposed to be good? So why does it leave me so tired? Many people have quietly asked that same question in their lives. And maybe today, you are whispering it too. We often believe compassion means carrying everything. That being kind means always being there for others. That love means giving endlessly, even until we have nothing left. But let me tell you a story, a small one, but one that if you really listen, carries a deep truth of Buddhism. To love does not mean to deplete yourself. It means to give with awareness. In a small monastery at the foot of a mountain, there lived a young monk known for his kindness. Whenever anyone needed help, sweeping the courtyard, tending the fire, or caring for the sick, he was always the first to step in. When someone was sad or anxious, he would sit and listen, no matter how late it was, no matter how cold the mountain wind blew. He never missed a chanting session, never skipped a ceremony. Everyone loved him, for his heart was like a lamp always shining for others. But because he gave so much, no one expected that one day, that very lamp would begin to dim. The cheerful monk grew quiet, not out of anger, but as if he was silently carrying a storm inside with nowhere to hide. His face grew thin, his eyes hollow, his steps heavy, dragging the weight of exhaustion. One afternoon, during a meditation break, while dry leaves drifted across the courtyard, he whispered softly, as if afraid to disturb the silence, "I'm so tired. I'm still doing everything I used to. But inside, I have nothing left. I feel like a jar completely empty." His friend beside him sat quietly for a moment, then gently replied, not with a lecture, but with a simple image. "Maybe it's because you've been living like a jar. Every time you give, you lose a part of yourself." The young monk turned surprised. His hollow eyes now carried a spark of thought. But if I don't give, how can I call it compassion? His friend smiled, calm as a stream, in the early morning, you can still give, but not as a jar. Give like a well fed by an underground spring. No matter how many buckets of water are drawn, the well stays full because it's nourished by a source that never runs dry. The young monk fell silent. The wind brushed the temple chimes. Something inside him loosened, not full understanding yet, but the beginning of awakening. From then on, he no longer forced himself to be a lamp for others. Instead, he learned to tend his own flame with silence, with breath, with care for his inner life, not for anyone else, but for the path he was walking. And slowly, he was still the same monk, but his steps grew lighter, his gaze softer. He was no longer giving from emptiness, he was giving from fullness, like a well nourished by an underground spring that never dries. My friend, maybe you too have been living like a jar full of kindness, full of love, always ready to help, but slowly emptying yourself piece by piece. Every time you give, you lose a little more. Every time you listen, you carry another weight in your heart. And then one day, you look inside, and it feels hollow. Not because someone stole from you, but because you silently drained yourself. No one will blame you for loving too much. But it would be unfair to yourself if you kept loving without ever understanding your own heart. True compassion is not about holding the whole world. It is about touching the underground spring within. And what is that spring? It is mindfulness. It is the ability to pause and breathe deeply. It is the gentle light of awareness shining on each moment of your life. It is the return to yourself, not rushed, not pressured, not trying to prove anything to anyone. When you touch that spring, something miraculous happens. You still give, but you don't run dry. You still listen, but your heart feels light. You still walk alongside the pain of others, but you are not shaken. Because now, you are giving from a place of fullness. You don't give out of fear of being abandoned. You don't give to earn love. You don't give to fill your emptiness. You give because you've touched the infinite. Your kindness flows, not to rescue, but simply because it overflows, like sunlight shining without needing applause. Compassion doesn't burn you out. It is attachment, expectation, and ego that exhaust you. The Buddha taught actions without clinging are actions of liberation. When you give without demanding, when you help without seeking credit, when you love without tying it to your ego, that is true compassion. Think of compassion like the sun. It shines everywhere without asking for thanks, or like a spring, flowing gently across dry fields, never stopping, never complaining. I'm not asking you to be a mighty river. You don't need to be. You just need to be a small stream, but don't let yourself run dry. And to stay full, you must return inward. Meditate daily. Breathe slowly. Learn to let go. Sit quietly. Do nothing, just feel that you are alive. Each time you do, you return to the spring. And from there, you can give again without losing yourself. Some might wonder, but if everyone only focuses on themselves, who will care for others? The answer is simple. Just like on an airplane, when the attendants remind you, put on your own oxygen mask first before helping others. Why? Because if you can't breathe, you can't save anyone. The same is true here. If you can't connect to your inner source, if you keep living in stress and burnout, your help will eventually turn into a burden, both for yourself and for others. My friend, compassion doesn't mean carrying all suffering. Compassion means being a steady presence so others can see their own path. Compassion doesn't ask you to fill every cup. It only asks, Don't let your own spring run dry. So if today you feel empty, that's okay. Just pause. Take a deep breath. Listen to your heart. And reconnect with that underground spring, the one that has always been quietly flowing, waiting for you to remember and return. Part 2. What we call failure might be the seed of a blooming season. I know there are days when you look back at your life and all you see are missteps, a beautiful opportunity you once lost, a dream left unfinished, a wrong turn that took your whole path off course, a shaky step that led to a fall. You once hoped so much only to be disappointed. You once believed everything would work out only to watch it collapse. Sometimes you were only a little off, but the price was far too high. Sometimes you never meant harm, you were just a little unlucky. And yet, the outcome was still loss, still pain, still failure. And so, you closed yourself off. You carried in your heart an invisible label, I am a failure. Are you living like that right now? My friend, if today you're walking with a wound called failure, I want you to hear this story. There was once a water carrier in a quiet village. Every morning at dawn, he would walk down the long slope to the stream, balancing a pole across his shoulders with 2 large pots tied at each end. Then he would climb back up, carrying water for his master's household. The pot on the left was strong and whole. The one on the right had a long crack running down its side, and on every trip it leaked water all the way home. Day after day, the cracked pot noticed. It knew it couldn't hold water like the perfect pot beside it. It knew it made the carrier's work harder. And slowly, over the years, it carried a silent sadness, a shame it couldn't name. One morning, while the man set down the pole to rest by the roadside, the cracked pot spoke hesitantly voice, trembling as if on the verge of tears. Sir, I'm sorry. I know I've disappointed you. I always let water leak away. I've never fulfilled my duty like the other pot. I feel useless. The water carrier paused, then smiled gently. He wasn't angry. He wasn't surprised. He placed his hand on the pot and said softly, My child, do you know? All this time, I've been planting seeds along the path on your side. The pot was confused. He continued, I knew you were cracked, and I knew you would spill water every day. That's why I scattered flower seeds along the roadside. Because of you, they've been watered daily. Don't you see? On your side of the path, blossoms now cover the ground. Each morning, butterflies dance, bees hum, and travelers stop to admire and smile. His eyes shone with kindness as he looked at the pot. It is because of you that the path has flowers. Because of you, life is more beautiful. You are not useless. You are simply different. And that difference has created something precious, something even you didn't know. The cracked pot fell silent. For the first time, it no longer saw its crack as a flaw. It no longer blamed itself for not holding water. Instead, it saw meaning in those very drops it once thought wasted. And from that day on, each time the sun rose high and golden flowers shimmered along the right side of the dusty road, the cracked pot no longer bowed its head. It did its work, quietly carrying water with a quiet joy, like a flower blooming precisely because it had once been broken. You see, the flaws we carry, sometimes they are what bring hidden beauty into someone else's world. We may think we are weak or failures, but what if within those imperfections a seed is waiting to sprout, and the season of flowers will come? Have you ever looked back and whispered, if only I had done things differently? Have you ever sighed at a mistake that cost you too much? Have you ever compared yourself to others and thought, why do they move forward while I'm still stuck here? I understand. Because at some point, every life feels that way, out of breath, just one step away from what we wanted only to be pushed back miles. But life is not a straight line. It doesn't demand that you always succeed, always be right, always excel. It only asks that you don't abandon yourself. Don't let your stumbles erase this truth. Your worth is not in perfection. It is in the courage to keep living, to keep loving, to keep walking, even with scraped and wounded feet. Never forget, the lotus doesn't grow from clean water. It grows from mud. And seeds always sprout in darkness before they rise into the light. Yes, you may have failed, but that doesn't mean you are a failure. It only means you are on the path of becoming. You are learning something that no textbook can teach. You are rediscovering yourself deeper, quieter, more real. Many of us afraid of failure stop trying altogether. We don't dare love again because last time hurt too much. We don't dare begin again because we fear repeating mistakes. We don't dare open our hearts because we fear being broken. But you cannot avoid failure forever. And the truth is, you don't have to, because sometimes failure is the very turning point that wakes you up. It is the mirror showing you what you need to see. It is the chance to shed an old self and grow. In the Buddha's teaching, nothing is meaningless. Even suffering has value if you turn inward and learn from it. Even failure has purpose if you choose to transform it. Like the cracked pot, you don't have to become flawless. You only need to see that what you thought was your weakness might be the place where light enters. And what you thought was your mistake might actually be the beginning of something more true. A reminder worth keeping close. No one learns the great lessons of life through ease alone. So if you are stumbling through a hard season, carrying the cracks of your life, please don't be too harsh on yourself. Look carefully. Perhaps flowers are blooming quietly along your path even now. There are good things you've done without even realizing. There are lives you've touched with kindness even once. There are ripples of love you've left behind even if no one told you. You may not see it, but maybe you're watering someone else's garden each day through what you thought was useless. So my friend, please be gentle with yourself. Don't call yourself a failure. Call yourself someone who is learning honestly and with a heart. And if others have laughed at you, judged you, or mocked you, please forgive them. Because maybe no one ever taught them that even a cracked pot can water flowers. And you too. Even if you've been broken, tired, fragile, you can still carry water for life. You can still make a road bloom with your patience, your quiet efforts, and your unconditional love. Don't be quick to condemn your flaws. Maybe they're not mistakes. Maybe they're unopened gifts. And who knows, perhaps from the very place you once ached the most, your first season of flowers is already beginning to bloom. Part 3. A heart doesn't need to be straight. It just needs to be true. Identity isn't found in perfection. It's found in being honest with yourself. One quiet afternoon, after the first summer rain, the temple courtyard still held the scent of damp earth, and the wind carried the whisper of leaves. In that stillness stood a pine tree in the corner, not the tallest, not the strongest. Its trunk didn't stand straight like the others. It curved gently to one side, as if it had once weathered a powerful storm. That curve wasn't awkward or twisted. It had a quiet grace, something that made you stop and look. In a garden where most trees reach straight up, this curved pine felt like a soft rebellion, a story nature had written by itself. It didn't try to stand out, compete for light, or earn admiration, but precisely because of its imperfection, it moved people. Have you noticed? The things that touch us most deeply rarely come from perfection. They often come from a small scratch, a gentle curve, something that doesn't fit the mold. The pine didn't bend itself to please anyone. It didn't meet the usual standard for what a beautiful tree should be. Yet it lived, stayed green, sang with the wind, and belonged to the temple scene with a calm, steady presence. It wasn't beautiful by definition, but it was beautiful in its own way, with a beauty that needed no showing off, no explanation, only truth. Maybe each of us is like a tree. Some grow straight, some lean, some win people over with outward perfection. Others make us pause and listen precisely because they tilt a little or grow in an unexpected way. And then we understand. We don't have to line up with anyone's expectations. We don't have to strain to become what others think is right. We don't have to reshape ourselves to fit a template. A heart doesn't need to be straight. It just needs to be true. We only need to live from our real nature to keep a sincere mind, unhidden, unpolished, like that pine simply living as it was meant to live, not fighting to be straight, not resenting its lean, not ashamed of being different, just standing there, receiving sun and rain and staying green. In a world of standards and expectations, the ones who dare to live honestly, even curved, are the ones who make the rest of us fall silent for a moment. What about you? Are you forcing yourself to be straight for someone's ideal? Or are you brave enough to live true to yourself? Remember, sometimes the very imperfection you carry is what makes you most unique in this world. Do you ever feel you don't fit? Not as fast, not as eloquent, not on brand with what society demands. Maybe you're someone who moves slowly, who stays quiet in a loud world, who trusts when others say be suspicious, who feels deeply when others wear logic as armor. And then you turn inward and wonder, is it wrong to be this different? Here's what I want you to know. There are many souls like you, people who don't line up with the crowd, don't fit the standard, don't get applause or awards, but they live honestly, gently, and steady as roots holding to the earth. Let me tell you a small story. Long ago, an old man lived on the edge of a bustling market. He didn't talk much or show off. He quietly sold small things he made by hand. Some called him strange, slow, outdated. But anyone who met him felt something unusual, a calm you couldn't name. Not because he was impressive, not because he stood out, but because he was real. He didn't try to please everyone or chase the standard. He simply lived true to himself, and that alone made people remember him. Today, when shoulds and musts are treated like life's rules, you should be talented. You must be successful. You have to be beautiful. You need to be up to date. Souls like yours, the ones who aren't perfectly straight, can feel very out of place. But you are not wrong. Straight isn't always right, and same isn't always beautiful. Some trees grow curved and become the branch where birds choose to rest. Some roads wind and reveal unexpected views. And some people, like you, who live with sincerity instead of a script, become a cool, clean breeze in a world that's too cramped and competitive. Sincerity is what matters most. A true heart, even if it isn't picture perfect or textbook approved, still spreads kindness. You don't have to be a great speaker. You don't have to be great at promoting yourself. If there is something true inside you, you are already softening the world. like a flower that doesn't advertise yet perfumes the air, like a patch of shade by the road, no sign, no name, yet the weary always return to it. There's a question I've heard many people cry through tears. Is it wrong to live differently? Here's what I tell them, and you. If you are living with compassion, harming no one and keeping your inner light, then even if you are different, you are still on the right path. We weren't born to be copies. We are one-of-a-kind expressions of life. In the garden of the universe, no two trees are identical. Some reach straight for the sky. Some follow the bend of a stream. Some bloom in winter. Some drop their leaves in spring. All have a reason to exist. So do you. You don't need to force yourself into someone else's straight line. Just be yourself deeply and with respect for who you are. Because imperfection can be your signature. We live in a world where people mostly see each other's surface, achievements, appearances, small talk. They don't know the road you've traveled, the pain you've survived, the times you forgave. In silence, the kindness you offered without anyone noticing. Remember this: no one has the right to judge you from a single snapshot of your life. You are an entire forest. Don't let the bend of one branch make you forget your vastness. If one day you feel off standard, out of sync with society, don't rush to correct yourself. Ask instead, am I living true to the goodness inside me? If the answer is yes, you've already done enough. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be real and keep your heart at peace. This world doesn't need more sameness. It needs more authenticity. Because the people who don't line up with the world are often the ones who keep it soft. If you've ever felt different, know this: it isn't a flaw. It's a gift. Don't let the world force you to change your shape just because someone prefers everything straight. Be yourself, even if you're a curved branch, a narrow path, or a quiet rhythm. Because sincerity will always be more beautiful than polished, empty perfection. Part 4. Blessing or misfortune? Who can really tell? There are moments in life that shake us to the core. Losing a job, losing someone we love, a relationship falling apart, a sudden illness that changes everything. And the first reaction most of us have is, I'm so unlucky. Why is life so unfair to me? This must be a curse. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself, was it truly a curse? Or could it be the beginning of something deeper? In everyday language, we are quick to label events good or bad, lucky or unlucky. But life doesn't work that way. A storm doesn't only bring destruction, it also clears away dust and decay that have been clinging for years. When one door closes, space is made for another door to open, and sometimes it is the very door that leads you back to your truest self. There is an old Eastern story passed down for generations. Once there was an old man who lived in a small village with his only son. His only real possession was a fine horse, a loyal companion who worked the fields, carried firewood, and traveled the roads with him. People often admired him. You're so fortunate to have such a strong and faithful horse. One morning, the man awoke to find the stable door open. Hoof prints led into the hills. The horse was gone. Neighbors rushed over full of pity. What terrible luck. That horse was worth a fortune. You must be devastated. But the old man simply smiled gently, his face calm and unshaken. Blessing or misfortune, who can tell? The villagers whispered. Some thought he was hiding his sorrow. Others thought age had made him foolish. How could a man lose his greatest treasure and still be so calm? But a few days later, the horse returned not alone, but leading a whole herd of wild horses. The once empty stable was now filled with strong, untamed animals, whinnying and running freely. This time, the villagers came to celebrate. You are truly blessed. Not only did your horse return, but now you have many more. What a gift from heaven. Again, the old man only smiled softly. Blessing or misfortune, who can tell? Weeks later, his son began training the new horses. Climbing onto one, he was violently thrown to the ground. The crack of bone echoed through the courtyard. His leg was shattered, leaving him unable to walk normally again. The neighbors came once more, shaking their heads in pity. What terrible misfortune. If not for these horses, your son would not be crippled. Don't you regret it now? And the old man, calm as ever, repeated blessing or misfortune. Who can tell? A year passed. War broke out. The king's army came drafting every able-bodied young man in the village. Parents wept as they sent their sons to a battlefield few would ever return from. But the old man's son, because of his broken leg, was spared. He stayed home safe, caring for his father and their land. And only then did the villagers realize what they had once called blessing had brought suffering. What they had once called misfortune had saved a life. The old man's words now rang true in their hearts. Blessing or misfortune, who can tell? Life doesn't always unfold the way we imagine. What feels like loss today may become peace tomorrow. What seems like failure may become the soil for wisdom. We are quick to label every turn good or bad fortune or tragedy. But life is a river, each event only a ripple in a vast current. From the middle of the stream, you can't always see the whole flow. But with patience, with calm, with faith, time reveals the truth. So when hardship comes, instead of rushing to say, "This is bad luck," perhaps you can pause and ask blessing or misfortune, who can really tell? Think of it this way. Something you lose may no longer fit the path you are meant to walk. A relationship ending may return you to yourself, teaching you to love and heal from within. A failed opportunity may open the door to a hidden talent you never knew you had. Even illness can become a wake-up call, reminding you to care for yourself instead of running endlessly in circles. So what is blessing and what is misfortune? Who dares to declare it right away? In the Buddha's teaching, nothing stands alone. Everything arises from conditions coming together, what we call dependent origination. What seems bad today under new conditions may turn into something precious tomorrow. What seems good today without mindfulness may lead to suffering later. That's why a person who practices learns to set aside hasty judgment. Instead of saying, "I'm cursed," they breathe deeply and ask, "What is this moment trying to teach me? What doorway is opening here?" You don't need to understand everything right now. But you can trust this life never sends you an event without a hidden invitation inside it. An invitation to let go. An invitation to slow down. A gentle hand pulling you away from a harmful path. Or perhaps a quiet reminder that you are ready to grow into a higher version of yourself. And if you stay with it long enough, look deeply enough, you'll see that what felt like misfortune often becomes your greatest teacher. They don't come to punish you. They come to awaken a strength inside you that you didn't even know was there. It is through falling that we learn how to rise. It is through closed doors that we learn to knock on the door of our own heart. And slowly, you stop labeling every event as good or bad. You begin to relax and to change. You start to trust the mysterious flow of cause and effect, that everything has its reason, and everything arrives to help you grow. So instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to ask, "Where is this taking me? What lesson is waiting for me behind this? Who will I become after this moment passes?" When you see life through those eyes, you are no longer a victim of fate. You are a student of life, brave enough to face uncertainty, and wise enough to discover a deeper, more mindful, more joyful way of living. Part 5. No one saves anyone. We can only walk together. There are people who spend their whole lives trying to save others. They believe that if they just love enough, understand enough, or are strong enough, they can pull someone out of their suffering. They can make them change. They can make them live, better, be happier. But the deeper you walk on the path of practice, the more you listen. With a mindful heart, the clearer one truth becomes. No one can truly save anyone else. Each of us is walking our own karmic journey. Every soul has its own lessons. No one can learn for us. No one can suffer for us. No one can awaken on our behalf. Maybe you've loved someone deeply. You've seen them sliding into pain mistakes or restlessness, and your heart broke for them. You wanted to help. You gave advice, offered guidance, tried everything to change their path. And yet, they still lived as they chose. And you felt powerless. That powerlessness, if not seen with wisdom, quickly turns into frustration or resentment. I worried for you. I tried to help you. So why didn't you listen to me? But if you see with mindful eyes, you realize a person can only save themselves when they are truly ready. It's like a seed. You can water it, tend it, place it in sunlight, but if it's not the right time for that seed to sprout, you cannot force it. In fact, pushing too hard can crush it under pressure. The Buddha never taught us to rescue anyone. He taught us to be present. What does presence mean? It means showing up fully, without judgment, without trying to fix, without pushing your agenda. It means listening with your whole heart, breathing with them when they hurt, sitting silently beside them when they cry, extending a hand not to pull them up, but to let them know when you're ready to stand, you won't be alone. Some wounds don't need stitches. They just need someone who won't walk away. Some dark nights don't need a floodlight, only the gentle glow of one small candle lit with compassion. Sometimes in love, we lose our wisdom. We think we are helping, but what we're really doing is controlling. We place expectations on the other person. We want them to change, but only by our standards. We want them to live differently, but so we can feel safe. But do you see? That isn't love anymore. That's fear wearing love's mask. Fear that the person you love will suffer. Fear they will lose their way. Fear you will lose them. And from that fear, we act as if we know best, as if we hold all the answers. Yet the Dharma teaches true understanding always comes with humility, and true compassion never tramples another's freedom. You can be a light, but they must choose whether to see it. You can be a mirror, but they must choose to look into it. You can be a companion, but the path is still theirs to walk. Some must hit rock bottom before they choose to rise. Some souls must wander deeply before they see their own light. Some lives only awaken when the pain cuts to the bone. When you understand this, you stop hurting so much when someone doesn't take your advice. You no longer think, "I gave everything, but they never changed." Instead, you feel lighter because you know the greatest gift you can offer is your presence free of judgment, not forcing rescue, not dragging them out of the dark, while they still want to stay there. Listening not to fix, but to love. Listening not to direct, but to walk alongside. Listening not to show how much you know, but so the other feels their pain is not abandoned. Do you know what heals faster than advice or knowledge? The feeling of being understood. And that only comes when we listen with our whole heart, when we don't interrupt, don't rush in, don't hand out solutions before the person has even finished sharing their pain. Presence heals through its quiet energy, like a still lake, calm enough for someone to finally see their own reflection. Like a sheltering roof, wide enough for someone to sit through the storm without being interrogated. If you truly want to help someone, don't see yourself as a savior. Be the one who sits down beside them, because saving comes from above. But walking together comes from heart to heart. The one who thinks they need saving feels small. The one who is accompanied feels stronger. When you stand beside someone in their suffering, not as a teacher, not as a judge, not as a rescuer, but simply as a companion, you give them the greatest gift of all, the freedom to choose for themselves. And when they choose awakening, it is their own transformation, not something forced upon them. You may not be able to change someone's life, but you can change how you walk beside them. You may not erase their pain, but you can refuse to abandon them in it. You may not stop them from getting lost, but you can be the silent landmark in their heart, so that when they wish to return, they know where to go. No one saves anyone. We can only walk together. And when you understand this in your heart, you will feel lighter, more compassionate, and more free. Part 6. The wind doesn't need to stop. The mind doesn't need to be flat. Have you ever asked yourself, when will my mind finally be at peace? Is it when there are no more worries? When everything goes smoothly? When people treat you kindly? Or when there's nothing left to be sad about? And yet you soon realize life never stops the wind. The wind of sudden events. The wind of expectations. The wind of emotions blowing in from places you never saw coming. The mind is like the ocean, at times calm like glass, at times restless with waves, at times storming so fiercely it feels out of control. So we begin to want a perfectly still surface. We try to control emotions, to stop thoughts, to keep our mind flat. We start fearing sadness, fearing anger, fearing disappointment, even fearing things that haven't happened yet. But here is what practice slowly teaches us. The mind doesn't need to be flat. It only needs not to be swept away. Imagine someone sitting on the shore looking out at the sea. The waves keep rolling. The wind keeps blowing. But they are not pulled in. They don't chase the tide. They simply sit watching, listening, knowing. That is mindfulness. It's not about eliminating every emotion. It's not about stopping the wind. It's about letting go of the need to control it all. It's about dropping the labels of good or bad, gain or loss, right or wrong, happy or sad. Because when the mind is busy, judging even if the world outside is calm, inside there will still be turbulence. People often ask, if I'm sad, am I allowed to be sad? If I'm angry, am I allowed to be angry? If I'm disappointed, should I push it away? The answer is, you don't have to push it away. You don't have to suppress it. You don't have to rush to get over it. All you need is to recognize this is a wave. And every wave eventually passes. But if you insist, there must be no waves that demand itself, creates another wave. Like a lake, the more you try to force it flat, the more easily it's disturbed. But when you allow water to be water, wind to be wind, waves to be waves, you begin to notice the deeper stillness beneath it all. In the Buddha's teaching, mindfulness isn't a feeling of peace. It is awareness without judgment. Not clinging to what comes, not grasping at what goes. A cloud passing doesn't take away the sky. A gust of wind doesn't erase the hill. And in the same way, sadness doesn't take away the deep stillness within you. When we learn to see life as a flow, not to escape it, but not to be swept away, we see more clearly. Peace isn't found in erasing worries, deleting pain, or shutting off thoughts. It's found in knowing, yes, I'm worried. Yes, I'm hurting. Yes, I'm thinking. And still being fully present with it. One day, you realize every emotion is just a wave moving across the surface. They're not enemies. They don't need fixing. They're simply part of being alive, like wind, like rain, like sunshine. We only suffer when we demand the wind stop blowing. A meditation student once shared, "Every time I sit down, thoughts keep rushing in. Old memories, people I don't like, random ideas. It's chaos. I thought maybe I was meditating wrong." The teacher just smiled and asked, "When do you realize you're being pulled away by your thoughts?" The student said, "Right as it happens." The teacher nodded. "That's enough. That's mindfulness." Do you see? You don't need to be perfect to be mindful. You don't need to be empty to be at peace. You only need to know what your mind is doing without judgment. Like standing before the sea, you can't order the waves to stop, but you can learn to stand steady on the shore. No one demands that your mind be flat. It's enough not to let the waves carry you away. And when you live like this little by little, you begin to see not only the noisy surface of the sea, but the deep, wordless, unmoving ocean that has always been there. Life doesn't require you to be calm all the time. It only asks you to be present, truly present. Through the stories we've shared in this video, we've walked through very human moments. The pain of not being understood. The frustration of wanting to save someone, but being powerless. The storm inside when life outside is turbulent. But as you've seen, healing doesn't come from forcing yourself to be okay all the time. It comes from being honest with your inner life, daring to face yourself without running, without judgment, without pretending to be strong. And from that place, peace quietly begins to grow. Gently, silently, yet steady, like a tree rooted through many storms. If something today touched you deeply, a quiet pause, a spark of light inside, or simply the feeling of being accompanied, then I invite you to become part of Buddhism Seeds. Subscribe so you won't miss the next lessons in healing and awakening. Like this video if your heart was touched. Comment and share what you learned today, because your words might be the light someone else is waiting for. And don't hesitate to share this video with loved ones as a small gift of compassion. Buddhism Seeds, where seeds of peace begin to grow.